The idea of forgiving your parents is very important.
Of?
Forgiving your parents. You need to forgive them because it speaks to what we're speaking about. Now, like they just didn't know. Like,
Self-stuff.
you know, like they didn't know what parenting is themselves. They didn't go to a school. There's absolutely nothing that they know, you know.
And dealing with kids in a different environment.
And train now, especially the firstborn, train now. The lastborn, they even go extreme. I'm spoiler like like crazy, you know. So once I go to the stage where of forgiving parents, it becomes much easier to reconcile on some of the issues you'd have had with them.
Now let me add on to something. Now I'm moving off.
Sharp.
But train on a firstborn.
Yeah.
Then they've got the blueprint. Ne? And then they try and take the size 8 to start.
If it worked.
That's very important. If it worked. Or let's say, because again, we don't know if it's worked if your firstborn is still 2.
Okay.
So we don't know if it's worked.
Sure.
Yeah. But you'll take that blueprint or that memo. Yabon, mesuzoyifaka la. And la akfan as the 2 kids that are the one becomes a success, doesn't drink alcohol, the one you also forget that. Yeah. So now if firstborn utebza and ube this person and by age sasim shaya and as a result by the age 3 intwana inji. Therefore, makufika omunye asenze the same thing.
The environment is different.
The environment is different. I'll give an example. I'm 10 years older now with my last child than when I was with my first child. I'm 10 years older, bro. 10 years older.
Different animal.
It's 2 completely different Pensons. Sure. Raising just this guy. Raising Uzita versus raising Untumbeza. It's 2 completely different Pensons if I'm just looking at myself. 10 years ago and 10 years now. Mentally, financially, forget the fact that it's 2 different mothers that have their own genes and their own ways and views of life and what. Just me alone is...
And the world is changing. There's AI now. Then we were still celebrating tablets.
Yeah, like... So when I look at that variable and I look at that, I'm just going... We can say we forgive the parents, ne? But are they also forgiving themselves? Because are they healing? Are they fixing?
And that's the community therapy.
It's difficult to forgive someone who's not trying to fix and work on themselves. Because again, I might say, I forgive Lo. Mama says, oh, pes going. But they're not fixing and changing. So manje uti, I must forgive that person. Aga work. It's a whole community thing. Everything is so interconnected. And the whole conversation that we're having is about, in my opinion, how one affects the other. Whether we're talking about education, how the education system that we said maybe needs an overhaul or whatever change affects how people are in the world, how our grandfathers and colonization is affecting, how this is affecting that. I feel like we need to sit as communities and say, hey, let's look at this bigger picture. Yeah. Let's look at how this piece affects this piece in order for us to thrive.
On the part of 10 years, sorry, Debs, you want to jump now. On the part of the 10 years and that you're not the same Penson, there's a quote by Greek philosopher Heraclitus. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man. It means that a person can never experience the exact same moment or situation twice because both the person and the river or the situation are constantly changing. Short, Debs.
And that is the issue with current relationships. Did
I not throw you off your point?
No. Doesn't matter. But that's the issue with current relationships. The idea that you're just not the same. You see the person that when you leave here now, something would have triggered you here and you're not the person the colleague that they had yesterday.
The guy that drove in.
Hey,
I'm not the guy that drove in. Because there's education that I've learned here.
Yes.
Ulungelo was perfectly right by saying, Guti, there's therapy as brothers. Because leaving here, I've got another grain of sand in my life experience with my brother. So I've seen him different now. And that's and the relationship can either get closer or move further apart just based off this one conversation. He might say something, because here's the thing about life. What is a anthill to him might be a mountain to me. So he might say something tongue-in-cheek and jest that for me really affects me. And I sit on it for months, for years, for whatever, and it affects how I view him, or vice versa. So it's so crazy when we look at these things and we try to just plug in. And again, it's not that I disagree with you, I agree with you. But going back to that point of why didn't they teach us? For them, this might have been the smallest little anthill. It might be just a little hop over it. It's nothing. For you, it's your Mount Everest. And you're like, why did Itama not teach me about Mount Everest? But to him at age 30,